Hey there, so today we have another review. This is new. I just picked this one up yesterday, Black Friday, and this is Bourbon County 2023. So, rocking the swag. I actually have the correct Spiegelau glass. They actually released this, well, yeah, they have like a pre-release box that actually Goose actually sent me, like, of Bourbon County, and they have a branded version. I'm pretty sure I broke mine at some point, but it's cool to still have the exact glass that they use, just without the branding and logo. Really excited. Last year was a little bit interesting. We had, yes. The first review I did was actually one of these, and based on the Heaven Hill or whatever, it really did not taste like right. And it probably, if you count this as a vintage, this has to be probably one of the worst. It might be the worst first, like fresh vintage I've ever reviewed. Moving on from that, they also had this bottle, which is actually blended of all the other barrels, Heaven Hill, Buffalo Trace, blah, blah, blah. And so that turned out just spot on. And I'm hoping that is the same here. I don't see any interesting dating or anything. This was bottled about a month ago. Wow, really fresh. And then 14.6. So I might have it a little chilled, actually. I try to speed chill it. For reference, last year, 14.3. So, actually, for teaser's sake, I also have the Bananas Foster and the Backyard. So, review of those coming soon. Beer looks pretty spot on. I probably have a little too chilled, but we'll work on the glass. Completely pitch black, very, very dark tan, very dark brownish kind of head, and then it has that same kind of good carbonation to it too, and that kind of just like brown film that sort of just like takes over the glass as the beer sort of subsides as you after a swirl. I mean, that's Bourbon County. I mean, brownie batter, vanilla. Big thing I was getting was the that kind of like oaky char thing. So combination of dark chocolate, espresso beans, like the bourbony vanilla kind of charred wood flavor as well. Creme brulee, caramel, some dark fruit in here as well as always. I get goji berry, dried cherries. Yeah, I mean, it smells quite desserty too. I get sort of this kind of like a wonderful combination of like sweet marshmallow, but also that kind of like, you know, campfire charred edge to it. It's a little bit burnt, a little bit of the crisp, a little bit of the brown part, like the whole spectrum of like desserty, caramelized marshmallow flavor. Yeah, it smells awesome. Cheers. Wow, I speed. So one of the tricks, by the way, if you have beer at like completely room temperature, wrap around a paper towel and throw it in the freezer. That paper towel will freeze, and now you have like basically ice wrapped around your beer, and you can get that beer chilled very fast. I probably had this in for like less than half an hour or something like that. I don't want to say more than that, and it is cold. I mean, I don't have it brick cold, but a little too cold for review, so bear with me, guys. Tastes pretty good. I mean, at least first impression. So, on the palate, bourbon sort of rides up front. Anything particularly hot about this beer? No. I will say, in general, like the nose, this vintage seems desserty. It's a very marshmallowy. Marshmallow, vanilla, creme brulee. It comes off sweet. Or not always. I mean, this beer in general, like, objectively, has a good amount of sweetness. Higher gravity, higher finishing gravity. But I'm talking about sweetness in the sense of flavors. Again, you can have something that's relatively sweet, but like the flavors of sweetness are those desserty other flavors that really make it. You know, when you have something that's sweet, but then you add vanilla to it, it just makes it seem sweeter. That's what we're getting with flavors here. There's just a lot of desserty flavors going on in this vintage. Up front, again, bourbon. This has a really forward. I don't know if I want to say the word sharp, but it is a prominent flavor. Sometimes I find it the barrel character to be a little bit more integrated into the beer. Rides with, again, like the nose, brownie batter, chocolate covered espresso beans, charred wood, waiting, a little bit of that acrid, leaning towards almost smokiness. They always say notes of, actually, I feel like they, oh yeah. Wow, that's cool. So on this tag, I don't know if you guys see, they have tasting notes, and they've changed them. This year is now vanilla, cocoa, cherry, caramelized sugar, almond. And I would say that is just as right as the other tasting notes I have. It's just this beer is so complex, I can keep going on with the adjectives. Vanilla for sure. You know, I'm describing that this beer does seem a little bit desserty. Cocoa, chocolate. Yeah, we're talking espresso, but we're talking about cocoa nibs. Super bitter. Definitely in here. Cherry, dark fruit. Smell the dark fruit. Definitely on the palate as well. Caramelized sugar. Again, I'm getting that kind of marshmallowy thing with the vanilla, so it's that complexity of creme brulee, caramelized sugar. Almond, there's a nuttiness, yeah. With the, especially with the oaky notes, it has this kind of like toasted almond nuttiness. So it's char, a little bit acrid, almost leaning towards smoky, but also that complexity of nuttiness and toast. And that's a fun thing about this beer, right? So, all right. So as we're talking, this beer is actually slowly warming up, right? Going again. Yeah, okay. So that's why I wait more. It's getting more and more integrated. The flavors are getting, tighter and tighter bound together as it warms up. It doesn't have as many disjointed edges. I'm really noticing more and more depth of flavor. This is good. It's a very good drinkable vintage. Okay. It's just a very good vintage. Like for me to tell you, like when Bourbon County comes around, I probably do just a couple bottles. I don't taste it out throughout the year. I'll probably save a bottle. At most, maybe I'll have two. So if how familiar am I with a beer that I review every year, but only have a couple times a year? It's damn good. So, just like as I think about it more, along with that kind of like bourbony sharp, I was calling it sharpness, but the forward bourbon character up front, the nuttiness is quite prominent here. I get a lot of like Di Serono amaretto kind of flavors. So that almond core flavor is very forward in this vintage. The dark fruits, I feel push back. A lot of times I get vintages that are super jammy. They taste almost like one of the variants. They get blueberry, cherries, like super jammy flavors. Definitely less so here. But yes, one of the highlights of this one is there is an overarching vanilla-y flavor. They've really extracted a lot of vanillins. And really made this beer, or at least this vintage specifically, very desserty. It almost tastes a little bit like vanilla rye, one of the famous variants, because, I don't know, it's just very vanilla forward. I don't know what to tell you. It's nutty forward, vanilla forward. If that sounds good to you, you're going to love it. For me, I like the vintages that, how do you describe it? They're more deep and dark. This one has a little bit more nutty and like I find nutty and the nutty almond and vanilla flavors to be like top notes. I tend to like the vintages that have that top note, but also this really bass tone of like brownie batter and espresso and a little bit of dark fruit in there, and those heartier like mid tones too. Not that this doesn't have it. It also, I want to say, just has a little less, I find, maybe just a hair less body than it usually does. Sometimes, like, could be I assume they carb it the same way every year. I don't know. But sometimes I find the beer a little bit more lush and a little bit more lingering on the palate. Here, I get a little bit more drying tannic oak and more bourbon character, just like drying out the palate. Not necessarily super, I can't objectively say that. Confirm. That's what I think about this vintage, but that's what my impression is. So, I mean, this is Bourbon County. What are you going to say? Sure. 100 out of 100, 100 minus out of 100. whatever. I'm splitting hairs here. I mean, you guys post the comments below. What do you think about this vintage? I think it's just as good as other years. I don't think this necessarily anything, it's always fun to find little nuance differences, but this beer is just always on fire. Unless it's in one of those tiny 12 format ounce bottles. Yeah, I mean, the drinkability on this is just insane. It's a 14.6%, and it's just, there's nothing in my mind that, wants you to just, I talk about beers in their ability, like how many ounces you want. The fact that this is a 16.9 and it's a 14.6% beer, I have no problem enjoying this. Granted, I probably won't have any other, probably won't have too many other drinks tonight, but it's just, it's so good. 100 minus out of 100. Tastes fire this year. Get it. Until next time, cheers later.